Hi, welcome to Sempa 360. We are going beyond the headlines. We are going into analysis, often what we do not have in our debate or in our discourse. I'm discussing the issue of ICC, the International Criminal Court, that dismissed charges against President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is after many months of gruesome, sometimes humiliating experiences where he has been subjected to suspicion, defamation, and accusations all over. And we're analyzing this issue. Should Kenyans really celebrate, or should they just file papers of defamation saying the collateral damage against us has been incredulous? Secondly, is the ICC a useful tool for justice, or is it actually in the service of the colonialists? This, we're getting beneath the layers of what comes on, and we're analyzing this issue. I'm talking to Andrew Irumba Katushabe. He's a Pan-Africanist who hosts the Pan-African live debate at Fairway Hotel. He's a managing director, Jai Industries, client relations manager, Red Paper Publication. I'm also talking to Mr. Joram Bintamanya Apuli, who wants to get rid of his first name. Hopefully he can change his mind before we are done. He's a district councillor, South Division, Fort Portal, member of the FDC NEC, leader of opposition, Kabarore District Council. And Joram is thinking that ICC must stay. Andrew is saying ICC must go. I'm sort of leaning one side, but let's get back to the issues over here. Should we now look in the face and ask Bensouda, did you fail getting witnesses, or Bensouda, you owe Africa an apology? What do you want to say?
I think ICC itself possibly should really confess that it was very, very competent on this case.
Competent or incompetent?
Incompetent. Because I don't see why you should prosecute someone when you have no evidence, when you are not sure of the witnesses. They must be safe enough. So they did not bother to do that. So their witnesses felt they were not safe in Kenya, and they had to possibly stay in Kenya and do away with that.
You're making a different conclusion. Could it be that they were more excited about possible allegations which could not stand or be sustained under due process?
No, but me, I just have a feeling, and I believe these witnesses were both or intimidated. That's why they could not go there.
But some of the witnesses said, no, I didn't say that. Some of the witnesses says, I was promised money to go to Sweden. And you understand, while you are saying some Africans do have money, I put it to you that Europeans coming and promising visas, promising scholarships, promising taking you to nowhere and wherever, can be a great exciter in the minds of people. I see this on the issue of homosexuality. Many people confess to homosexualism to get a visa to England. That's such a scandal. So I put it to you, maybe it wasn't the intimidation from Africa, maybe it was enticement from Europe.
Me, I still believe, and I have no doubt, these people were intimidated, that's why they could not go. The only problem I have with ICC is ICC, as you had stated, it is only targeting strong African leaders who are trying to mobilize Africans to come together and fight colonialists and those tendencies. Like Mama Gaddafi had mobilized African leaders to form our own bank so that we no longer go to borrow money in America and Europe and anywhere. So they saw Mama Gaddafi as a very big threat. So they decided to crush him and finish him. And other strong African leaders.
So you can see a pattern that ICC, apart from having the principle of talking about justice, in practice is being used to attack the African leaders who are trying to unite Africa. Now, I want to conclude. If you looked at Bensouda in the eye, what would you say today? What would you be your statement to her as the prosecutor who represents the side of ICC's prosecution?
I'll just tell him on this case.
Tell her.
On this case, you are very incompetent. Yes. Why did you lose? And why did you waste someone's time? And it's more especially a head of state, a president of a certain country. Why do you humiliate him to that extent, yet you have no proof?
Don't you think she owes us, and ICC owes all of us, a huge apology and compensation? Let me come to you, Rumba.
Yeah, that is true. They should actually, for me, I would implore Uhuru Kenyatta now to climb what do
defamation.
They call? Yes, and he be compensated. You know, that man relegating power to his deputy, who is also a member of the opposition, though they are now together, but clearly is a member of the opposition to his government, relegating power to him to go and attend ICC. Yet they do not have any evidence that they base their you know, his calling to ICC and so on. But to go back and make it clear, the ICC is intended to complement existing national judicial system, and it may therefore only exercise its jurisdiction when certain conditions are met. Like, let's give an example. National courts are unwilling or unable to prosecute criminal, or when the United Nations Security Council individuals refer such cases to the court.
I want to say these are all sounding good. They sound very good.
Let me finish.
These are simply fair to justify their existence.
But let me finish.
But it is an unnecessary tool.
You see, let me finish my argument.
Yes.
The mission of the ICC is not wrong. It's not bad.
You think
it's
so?
Good. Yeah. Let me give you an example. Is there any court in Uganda that can try President Museveni?
For what?
In Uganda.
For what?
If there was any case. If there was any case against
First of all, there's presidential immunity.
What?
Secondly, in the same way the members of
now you're giving
parliament.
justification why ICC should be in
No,
place.
but you cannot say that because there is lack of something, therefore someone else can come. Because someone can come and bring a solution that is going to kill you. In this case, we are seeing tragedy. I want to bring to your attention. There was the International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice, there was a dispute between Uganda and Congo over the wealth that was looted in Congo. And a case was lodged where? In the International Court of Justice. I put it to you that this ICC is an unnecessary tool being used to intimidate and bully African leaders to jump into step right now. Don't you think that many African leaders are now sort of shaking, or we'll take to ICC, opposition, we'll take you to ICC.
Martin, let's first deal with why it was created. And then now we see, what are they doing?
Yes.
Have they deviated from their mission? Yes. Was the mission positive? Yes, to Africa. You get me? You need to understand me. The ICC's presence, because ICC is not for Africa, it's for International Criminal Court. It's for the entire world. But only those states that are what? That are members.
Subscribe.
Yeah, that subscribe to it. Now, the intention was to check those sitting government leaders whose countries cannot manage to charge them. Like in Uganda, a sitting president cannot be.
My brother, why are you looking at Africa? Why don't we charge Europe for crimes against humanity?
Wait a minute.
What about what happened in Kenya, the genocide?
You need to allow me
for
to
me,
finish
I
my point.
agree with you. I agree with the principle.
You need to allow me to
that
finish my
I
point.
agree with the principle that we need a justice system. That is fine. But this justice system is hybridized only to focus
Where is
on Africa.
Milosevic was charged.
Slobodan Milosevic.
Yes.
But you need. But
He was not in the pocket of European.
for the
Why
benefit-
doesn't the Queen,
Mr.
Queen
Martin.
of England, President
Mr.
of
Martin.
France, President of England, Europe, even America is not party to this
Yeah, it
ICC?
is. But Mr. Martin, for the benefit of our listeners, our viewers, you need to allow me to finish my point. I'm saying the mission of ICC was to ensure that even he who is in power and your country is not able to take you on in terms of taking you to court and so on, there is another court that can actually check you out. So that's why we are saying, for example, in Uganda, you cannot take a sitting president to court. It might be so hard for any general in this government to be taken to court. That's when the ICC comes and says, no, there are these crimes against humanity. You get it? Crimes against humanity. You must be tried.
How do you prove them?
And now that is the work of ICC. They know better.
No, it is a
But-
fantasy.
but
this
now-
is a fantasy.
But let me
Lumba.
finish my point. But now, what have they done with the ICC?
Okay.
They are now misusing it to its hand African leaders. And those that they perceive to be strong leaders. Gaddafi was a uniting factor in Africa. They had to get rid of him. Saddam
Gbagbo.
Hussein, Bagbo, and so on. They had to get rid of them so that they leave us vulnerable. They leave Africa vulnerable to them. Today, the only strong leader that can now stand and speak against ISIS has remained President Museveni. He's the one who can say, I think you have derailed from the mission. Others are quiet. You get the point? Including Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been a victim of this ICC. He cannot badmouth them.
We're about to take a break soon. Go ahead, finish your point.
But now, we need strong leaders of Africa to say, ICC have not done to our expectation. We need African Union. We need OAU. OAU that can also take over from ICC in Africa to ensure that we take charge of our matters. African Union should be able to be as strong as ICC, even more than ICC, on African leaders. Even if you are sitting president, even if you left power a long time ago, as long as there are crimes against humanity, they are just, you must go and answer. But now, the problem is that we are giving credibility to ICC because OAU and AU are weak.
But you were assuming that the same weaknesses that you see within AU and East African are the same weaknesses in the ICC. It is just a higher form. Because who pays for East African communities' bills? It is the European Union. You understand? And I want to put it to you, sir, that whoever pays the call is the one who pays the piper. Yeah. Is the one who calls the tune. I put it to you that the ICC is a developed machinery, simply developed to control Africans under European guidance. I want to take a break very soon, but I want to bring to you, when you make laws, they should be in agreement. For example, let's bring the issue of homosexuality, because now on the issue of politics, it's a place where they have started and there is natural differences because of multi-party, and I'd like even to assess that unnecessary divisions. But I want to put it to you, the next phase of ICC is sex crimes. Are you aware that ICC has indicted me, or they have charged me and others, and
so
they are preparing?
I'm sitting with an indicted person.
Yes. So that, and it's on a very simple issue of homosexuality. So now all of us Africans are guilty and indicted. So what are you going to say about that?
Personally, I don't support homosexuality. And all these things are happening because of weak leaders, and the spirit of nationalism has gone down. Greed has taken charge. Now, Kwame Nkrumah, Milton Obote, Julius Nyerere fought for a cause. That cause has been sidelined, has been dropped completely. Now, the leaders we have at this material time are greedy. That's why now Europeans are taking advantage. Now, when you look at African leaders, they are the very people suppressing their own Africans, using tear gas on their own Africans, fabricating cases on their own Africans.
But you are diverting me,
No,
Mr.
I'm not
Doro.
diverting you.
I want to take back to you that when you make a court, a court is preceded by laws. Laws are based on moral assumptions of what is right and what is wrong. Now, when you have different nationalities, for example, making us a one-size law, you are having irreconcilable differences. The European has gotten to the point where homosexualism is they call it a human right. For the African, 99% of the African, we call it a human vice, an abomination, and a taboo. And they know this. But they have put within the law of the International Criminal Court, which is heavily funded, designed, and run by Europeans, the European system of justice. So after using these high-profile cases of violence and post-election violence, the next stage of ICC is to come for Pastor Martin Sempa, Sheikh Muzata, the clan leaders, and they are going to indict us so that they can compel us into their ways of justice. What will you do when that is exposed? Stay with us. You're on Sempa 360. We're going to take a quick break. When we do come back, we're going to analyze, can one size fit all? And secondly, does violence always have to accompany a democratic process? We'll look and examine some of the other cases across the world. Stay with us. You're on Sempa 360. We'll be back after this.